Kundalini awakening. Today, the internet is filled with people chasing it. Videos promising instant activation, breathing techniques done without guidance, people claiming sudden spiritual powers overnight. But in yogic tradition, Kundalini was never treated casually. In fact, many yogis gave serious warnings about trying to awaken it randomly. Why? If Kundalini is supposed to lead to higher consciousness, then why would ancient yogis approach it with such caution? Stay with me till the end, because this is not just about mystical energy, it is about what happens when human beings try to access intense forces without preparing themselves first. In yogic culture, Kundalini is described as a dormant life energy, often symbolized as a coiled serpent resting at the base of the spine. But this was never meant literally. It was a symbolic way of describing an enormous untapped potential within the human system. Yogis believed most people use only a small portion of their inner capability. Kundalini represents the possibility of expanding consciousness beyond ordinary experience. The idea sounds exciting: higher perception, intense bliss, expanded awareness. So naturally, people become fascinated. But this fascination creates a major problem. Many people seek Kundalini for power, excitement, or identity, not for genuine inner growth. And yogic tradition repeatedly warns approaching powerful practices with ego and impatience can become dangerous. Sadhguru has spoken very carefully about Kundalini. He explains that Kundalini is not entertainment. It is not something to experiment with casually. According to him, if the body, mind, and energy system are not properly prepared, intense practices can create imbalance instead of transformation. That is why traditional yogic systems focused heavily on preparation first. Imagine increasing electricity through weak wiring. What happens? The system overheats. Similarly, yogic culture says if intense energy rises through an unstable system, it can create physical, emotional, and psychological disturbances. This is why ancient practices included discipline, breath control, diet regulation, meditation, emotional balance. Preparation was everything. Today, many people mistake emotional intensity for spiritual awakening. Sudden mood swings, overstimulation, sleep disturbance, psychological instability. Not every intense experience is Kundalini. Yogis warned that forcing practices without grounding can disturb the nervous system and the mind. Real growth was meant to bring clarity and balance, not chaos. This is important. A dramatic experience is not the same as transformation. People often chase extraordinary sensations, visions, vibrations, altered states. But yogic tradition says if your everyday awareness, stability, and balance do not improve, then spiritual growth has not truly happened. Temporary experiences can easily become ego traps. Science does not recognize Kundalini as a measurable physical force. There is no scientific proof of a serpent like energy moving through the spine. But psychology and neuroscience do recognize that intense breathing, fasting, sleep, deprivation, and meditation practices can create altered states of consciousness. Some experiences described as Kundalini may involve profound nervous system and psychological effects, which is exactly why guidance and stability matter. Traditionally, powerful yogic practices were learned directly from experienced teachers, not from random instructions. Why? Because every individual is different. What helps one person may destabilize another. A proper teacher was meant to observe the student carefully and introduce practices gradually and safely. The desire for Kundalini awakening often comes from ego itself. People want to feel special, advanced, spiritually superior. But yogic culture repeatedly says the spiritual path is not about becoming extraordinary, it is about dissolving limitation and compulsiveness. The more ego enters, the more distorted the journey becomes. Yogic tradition describes genuine awakening very differently from internet fantasies. Not dramatic performances, not constant excitement, but heightened awareness, balance, clarity, profound stillness. A person becomes more conscious, not more chaotic. Many authentic yogic systems moved gradually over years, sometimes decades. Modern people often find this frustrating, but yogis understand something important. Transformation must become stable, otherwise, intense experiences fade or create imbalance. Real spiritual growth was meant to integrate into everyday life. Today, people mix random breathing practices, rituals, and internet methods without understanding their effects. Yogic culture strongly discouraged this because the human system is delicate. Powerful methods used carelessly can create confusion instead of growth. That is why wisdom mattered more than intensity. Ultimately, Kundalini was never about powers or mystical experiences. Its purpose was liberation, freedom from compulsive thought, freedom from limited identity, freedom from unconscious living. Yogis were not trying to become supernatural, they were trying to become fully conscious. So, why do yogis warn against randomly opening Kundalini? Because powerful energy without preparation can create imbalance instead of transformation. Without stability, intensity becomes dangerous. Without awareness, spirituality becomes ego. The real question is, are you seeking genuine inner growth, or are you only chasing extraordinary experiences? If this gave you a deeper perspective on Kundalini and spiritual practice, share this with someone who needs this understanding. And for more deep explorations into consciousness, energy, and yogic wisdom, like this video and subscribe.